Hi and welcome along to AFTV News Daily, the early edition. Hope you guys are doing well today, Monday. We are coming to you live today on YouTube, Facebook, also on Periscope, Twitter, and of course Twitch. Welcome along. Hope you guys are doing well today, and it's a brand new week here on AFTV, and it's great to have you on board. Make sure you check out all of our brilliant content that we got coming up for you this week. Let's dive straight into it. You know, it's quite a quiet day for rumors today, which is unusual because normally every day they're firing this room and firing that room. I mean, actually, there's a lot of sort of recycled rumors around at the moment. But one of them that keeps doing the rounds is this one about Erkan Kotku. Now, of course, we've spoken about him several times on the show before. Feyenoord, that's the team that he plays for at present. He's only 19 and he's a very, very talented midfielder, very skillful. One of these players that creates a lot, can score as well. And a lot of teams are looking at him. He's only 19. Arsenal said to be very, very interested in him. And of course, we know that the Dutch league has finished early. There was no relegation, no promotion, etc., etc. And I think there's a lot of players over in that league that are pretty unhappy about that. But anyway, in the case of Kotku, he definitely wants to move on. He's been offered a new deal by Feyenoord, which he's not signed, and he definitely wants to move on. Now, Arsenal said to be one of the favourites to try and sign him. However, Chelsea have now entered the race. They're now also interested in signing him as well. So this may push the value up. The value of him at the moment is around about £23 million. I quote a lot of these prices and I always say sort of pre-corona because, of course, the coronavirus is out and about right now and that might change things. But that's the value of him right now. Will Arsenal move and get him this season? We know that the budgets are going to be tight, but definitely we need a creative midfielder, especially if Dani Ceballos returns back to Madrid, which that could possibly happen. You know what I mean? He wants to go back to Madrid. There's lots of talks that he will go back to Madrid. Remember, we've only got him on loan. So if he does go, we're definitely going to need a midfielder. And could we bring Kotku in? So it's going to be really interesting to see how that one turns out. But Kotku being linked again with a move to Arsenal. Of course, at the moment, we're being told in the UK as we enter the 7th week of lockdown. 7 weeks. I can't believe it, right? I remember it started off as 3 weeks. Now, we're being told that this week the government might ease some of the lockdown measures. They want to get people back to work. They want to get the economy going again. So they're looking to ease some of the measures. Not drastically. I don't think we're going to see drastic movement on it, but we will see a move to try and get people back to work. And they're saying already things like, for instance, they want to change the rule on distance, social distancing. At the moment, it's 2 meters. I think they want to change it to about 1 meter. They want to get people back into the workplace as well as working from home. So we can see that there's movements to try and get things back to normality. But how is that going to affect the world of football? Certainly, the government are very behind football returning. They know the power of sports. They know that psychologically, you know, the power of sports as well. And they would like to get football and other sports, cricket and all those sports going again. Now, it's probably, as we've discussed on many occasions, going to be behind closed doors. I don't know what you think about closed doors. I don't really like it. But listen, at the moment, it could be what we're seeing there. An empty Emirates with the players playing there. Now, they're looking to do some of these games at neutral grounds. That's the talk, you know what I mean? Instead of playing every game home and away at each team's ground, and that means lots of traveling and more likelihood of it spreading, they're more looking at this idea of having neutral venues where they play the games. And they're just sort of apparently proposed 10 grounds. The Emirates is one of those 10 grounds that they proposed where they will play a lot of these games. Now, it will put less strain on the NHS, I suppose, if you've got, you've got less grounds for them to, back, because remember, the NHS are going to have to, medical staff would have to support some of these games. And certainly you can see with what's happening as well that, the hospitals are starting to have a little less strain than what they've had. I note that Nightingale Hospital that they built in London, especially for the COVID-19 cases, is starting to, they're talking about winding it right down because they've hardly had any people in there recently. So neutral venues might be the way. Not every team is up for that. There's been some teams who are saying they'll only agree to neutral venues if there's going to be no relegation. Now, that seems to be a lot of the teams down the bottom, like Brighton, etc. And you can see where they're coming from. Even though it's going to be played behind closed doors, they would rather play it on their home pitch, So there's still a lot of ironing out to be done. There's still some players apparently who were saying that they'd refuse to play if football came back too soon as well. But it's certainly looking like football is going to come back behind closed doors. One of the clubs that is said to be desperate to get it going again is Arsenal. Arsenal, because there's said to be some clubs that are very relaxed on it. There's some clubs that are not too keen on it. But there's other clubs that are really desperate to get it going and really pushing for it. And Arsenal is said to be one of those teams that are really pushing for the restart. Now, I don't know if this is because, we recognise that we'd lose a lot of money. All that TV money possibly if it's not restarted. And also you've got to look at it from an Arsenal's point of view. We're 9th at the moment in the league. If the league, say, didn't start and they made it null and void, we may not be in those Champions League places. They may go with giving it to the top 4 that's now and stuff like that. So Arsenal would like to get this season finished and try and get, at the very minimum, a Europa League finish. So Arsenal desperate to get it going, and we're going to have to wait and see how it pans out. But I still think that we will get some football before the end of the season. Whether it's right or wrong, I don't know what you guys think, but it does look like it's returning. Now, Henrik Mkhitaryan, of course, he's at Roma at the moment. We've been told in the past that Arsenal want around about £20 million. Roma want to buy him. I think Arsenal resigned to the fact now that they ain't going to get that. They're not getting, £25 million, especially in this current climate for Mkhitaryan. The rumours are is that they said now to be willing to lower their price to around about the £10 million mark, so that they can move him on this summer. They definitely want to sell him. Excuse me. They could also get him off of the wage bill. So Mkhitaryan could be on his way out. Whether he goes to Roma or not, I think Arsenal will be looking to sell him to whatever team's the highest bidder. Roma, of course, is his preferred option. But Arsenal are probably going to have to offload players this season if they are looking to get any players in. If they're going to buy any players, they're going to probably have to offload players. And, the obvious players that offload are like your, Aubameyangs. If they offloaded Aubameyang, 40 to 50 million, they'd be hoping to get for him. That might be difficult, in this current climate. But, I suppose they'd remove £200,000 off of the wage bill if they did get rid of Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang. Of course, my views on it. I feel that, we shouldn't be trying to offload him. He's a quality player, he's the type of player that we should be trying to keep. But he is one of those players that if you offloaded him, he'd have a lot of value, just like Ozil, If he could be offloaded, £350,000 a week. I don't think Arsenal would even be too bothered about the transfer fee. I think it would be just more a case of very low transfer fee, getting him off the wage bill. But again, that would remove the £350,000 a week off of that wage bill. There's Mustafi, of course. Probably want about £10 million for him, and 92,000 would be coming off the wage bill if they were able to sell him. And then, as I said, if you look through some of the other, I was making a little list of them today, you could, Lacazette, if they offloaded him, I suppose Arsenal would be looking for 30 to 40 million pounds for him, 180 grand a week off the wage bill. Socrates, Arsenal definitely, I reckon, looking to sell him this summer. £5 to £10 million, maybe. £90,000 off the wage bill. Kolasinac, Arsenal said to be open to offers for him, round about the £15 million mark. They're not even going to be looking for lots of money for him. They got him on a free transfer, but again, would release £100,000 a week off the wage bill. Bellerin, I don't think they are looking to sell, but if they did 110,000, and then you've even got guys like Guendouzi, who has had a few little discipline problems with the new manager. Manager doesn't seem to fancy him as much. Not that he doesn't fancy him, it doesn't seem to fancy him as much as when Unai Emery was there. He really liked Guendouzi, but he would be a player of value. You know, player. I think if you sold Guendouzi, you'd be looking 20, 25 million, in my opinion. If Erkan Kokku is going for that sort of money, I think Guendouzi is much higher profile. He's knocking on the door of the French team, so they're the players of value or wages that can be removed off. And certainly it looks like Arsenal, in order to buy any big players this summer, are going to have to offload a few of those players. And it's going to be interesting to see who those few are. Who do you reckon they should be? Let me get into some of your comments and see what you guys are saying. Seamus Moore says, Italy's government have given the go-ahead for football to resume there, the worst affected country in Europe. It's money over people's lives. I'm not too sure. Listen, if the government are saying, and I think the government are backing the Premier League over here as well, if the government are saying resume, I don't think, there's a problem with it, because, you've got to start getting things back to normal somehow. Obviously, you don't want to do it too early, and you don't want to put lives at risk, and you don't want to put the NHS at risk. But if the government are saying, right, you know what, we feel let's slowly take measures to getting things back to normal, I see nothing wrong with that. I think in the other countries, in France, in Holland, it's the government that said no big sporting events till September, and the leagues have just said, well, obviously we can't play. But if the government is saying, right, we feel conditions are right to, look into playing football behind closed doors, let's get together and make a plan, I think there's nothing wrong with that whatsoever. I don't think you could say that you're putting money over people's lives there, because the government have made the decision. Kevin Rogers says, sell Mustafi and Mkhitaryan needs to go as well. Malu says, hopefully Ozil gets out of here. Well, these people have already come out and said that, he wants to stay. He's going to stay till the end of his contract, so I don't think we're going to be able to look at moving him on. Beat68 says, if Aubameyang wants to leave to go to Barca or Real Madrid, let him go. Do not accept an offer from Chelsea. Agreed on that. Jake says, Robbie, would you take Edouard or Jovic at Arsenal? Do you know, I'd probably go for that Edouard, even though Jovic has got a better reputation and stuff like that. But I like the look of that Edouard. He's nowhere near Aubameyang, but I just like the look of him. I think he's a decent player. Omar says Bellerin isn't good enough. Abhishek says, we're looking at this in the wrong way. If we're selling our players for the cheap, surely other teams rather do the same. Invest now, chill later. But I'm saying to invest now, we're going to have to get rid of some of these. Some players are going to have to be offloaded. And the list of most likely players that you could offload: Aubameyang, Lacazette, Mkhitaryan, Mustafi, Socrates, possibly Guendouzi, Kolasinac, Ozil, Bellerin. They're the ones of value that could possibly go. But, then you don't want to sell your best players either. Sam says, Robbie, let's say the only way to get Partey would be to swap Laka. Would you do it with Martinelli and Nketiah back up to Aubameyang? Possibly, yes. Although I'd like to keep Lacazette and Aubameyang. Nketiah is up and coming, still up and coming, still got a long way to go, but is a very good prospect. And the same with Martinelli. We need 4 strikers. What are we getting rid of? You know, I don't want to get rid of the best players. I want to get rid of the players that have, they've done their time and it's time to move on from. That's what I feel. Otto M says, hi Robbie, Mkhitaryan, Mustafi, Socrates, El Neni, all out. I forgot about El Neni. We'll make around about 25 million and take loads off the wage bill. Very true. Probably make more than 25 million. Ooh, well, yeah, probably about 25 million. I think, yeah, you're accurate there, especially in the current market. Owen said, thoughts on the league coming to Australia for the remainder of the season. Listen, there's been talk of that, playing it abroad. I think there's some big wigs in England that wouldn't mind doing that. But of course, there'd be the whole thing about taking loads of teams over to Australia. And then they'd all have to be quarantined for a couple of weeks. So it's not practical. But I think if there was some sort of way, some of these big teams over, because they've been wanting to do that from time, like play a few games abroad. They would love to do it, but that's not going to happen. The games will be played over here. The backlash from that would be woof. Lukram says, morning, Robbie. Luka Jovic on loan could be the best deal Arsenal could get this transfer window. If we're able to swap Lacazette for Partey and replace him with Jovic, spending barely anything. Okay, good shout. Pranav says, Chelsea will spend big. They have the Hazard money. We should be very worried about Aubameyang going there. As I said before, man, if it comes down to it and that's the place that want him, then we don't sell. And he stays until the end of his contract. And if he wants to walk there after that for nothing, do that. We should not be set. I know it sounds dumb, but we've got to put our foot down on selling all of our top players to Chelsea. Dan Burton says, we're the only football club that has no valuable assets other than Aubameyang. Name one other player we have bought that we could sell for more now. None. Therefore, no money for transfers again this year. Well, Martinelli will be worth a lot more, but we don't want to sell him. But he's got a great point there. That's true. Apart from a couple of the recent guys we bought, which one of those players would go for more money than what we pay for him? Mustafi would pay £35 million for him. 35 million. And I was saying there when I was doing my list, 5 to 10 million is what we get for him. Maybe 10 million. So he's right. Mkhitaryan, 25 million. Now we're looking to get 10 million. Lacazette, was it 50 million? What will we get from now? 35, maybe? We get more from Kolasinac because we got him for free. Oh, boy. Reed says Aubameyang is obviously going to sign a new contract. Well, I hope you're right. Because that'd be great. This guy says, nice one. Don't mind those fake fans. They always bad about Ozil and the way they talk about Ozil, and no one is talking about the Arsenal owner. Fake fans. Well, come on, man. I think a lot of people have been talking about the owner as well as talking about Ozil. Richard White says, unfortunately, we're dealing with the aftermath left by the previous regime. Average players on huge money. We should now only be selling players if there is a clear idea for the future. Can't argue with that either. This man says, hello, Robbie. Arteta is looking to rebuild a whole squad. I think he's going to do some smart transfers this summer, even though the board's not providing funds. Let's believe in him. But that's what I'm saying. To do that, he's going to have to offload players. Has to offload players because there's not going to be an influx of money coming in. So that's going to be the only way. Gigi says, hi, Robbie. Who would you get rid of? Okay. Mkhitaryan, definitely. El Neni, definitely. Mustafi, Socrates, Kolasinac. And I'd want to get rid of Ozil because, he's got a year left, but I know he's not going to go. But I'd get rid of those guys that I've named there. That would take a huge amount of money off of the wage bill. And I think we could go in and get cheaper options that are just as good of them, you know, if we're smart. So, you know, not to disrespect like a guy, for instance, like Socrates. I think he's been value for money since he's come. He's done all right. We didn't buy him as a top centre back, but he's done all right. But I feel it's time to move on. If we've got Saliba coming in, you know, we've got loads of centre backs now. We've got to try and push through Holding. Hopefully Chambers will come back, you know. But we've got to stop. We've got to get a few of these guys off of the wage bill, and Mustafi and Socrates are obviously two for me. Mkhitaryan's the obvious one, and El Neni. You know, those obvious, you know, players that could, you know, release a lot of wages and enable us to get some other players. I do think that this is going to be also a season of consolidation in that we're not going to buy a lot of players. We're probably not going to sell a lot of players. And it's going to be, again, the task of Mikel Arteta to get the best out of what he's got. But then when we get to next summer, not this summer coming in, next summer, that's when lots of these players will have no alternative but to go, because their contracts will run out. Mustafi's contract will run out. Ozil's contract will run out. You know, there's going to be several other players where, you know, contracts are running out and, you know, they can be moved on. So it's either going to be getting rid of some of them now. If they don't go, it's going to be a waiting game. Just get the best out of these guys, you know. Sean Turner with a super chat here says, Arsenal fans live in dreamland. You sell Aubameyang and Ozil, you ain't getting players on their level in the market. Build with what you have. He's right. He's right. The Ozil one, I'm not sure about. You know, I just feel that with Ozil, don't get me wrong, fantastic player over the years for Arsenal. Not so much in the last couple of seasons, but fantastic player over the years. But it just feels like a guy that's just treading water now. He's just in his comfort zone. You know what I mean? He's not really offering enough to this team, in my opinion. I mean, what I would love to see happen would be for him to come back after this whole thing rejuvenated and just put in some mega performances and show us what he can do. But I just feel that he's for both parties, it's time for him to move on to another challenge, and it's time for Arsenal to go with somebody else. Shamor says, Aubameyang is a good player, but I would rather sell him fast if he's not signing a new contract. We shouldn't give him no crazy wages like we did to Ozil. Yeah, we can't give him crazy wages, and we won't give him crazy wages. He's already on very, very good wages. But the thing is about it is that you've got to pay these guys to keep them. Kwabemi says, this is the best time to see what Raul and Edu are all about. Arsenal would win the league in 2 years if we're smart. We had a good team at the start of the season. Okay, so, you know, it's going to be, you know, they're going to have to be very smart in the transfer window, because we're not going to be one of those teams that are going out and spending mega money. We know that. I think any Arsenal fan who doesn't realise that, you know, got to get with the real world. We ain't going to have the big monies that a lot of these, you know, Coutinho's and all that, you know, loan deals possibly. Nathan says, hi, Robbie, would you get rid of Ozil, Mustafi, Kolasinac and get Disasi, Aware and Partey? Well, yeah, I would. You know, if we could get rid of those and get those players in, of course I would. But Aurier, for instance, you know, they're going to want about 30 million plus for him. Partey, 45 million plus for him. Those three players you just talked about there is not going to raise enough money to buy a player like that, or to buy those players. Probably buy one. Kingsley says, since football will be played without fans, what are your thoughts on a proposal to enhance viewer experience by having cams in the dressing room and halftime interviews with managers and players? I agree with that, because you're going to have to do something to enhance things. The thing about this is, and I hope that when this is all over, and I've said this before, these owners, these football clubs, that they start to have more respect for the fans. Respect them when you're pricing things. Respect them when you're doing stuff. At Arsenal, invite fans every now and again into the training ground. Let them see training. You know what I mean? Let the players communicate more with the fans, because you know what? If we ain't there, the product is no good. The product is poor, right? So I'm sorry, value the fans. Without fans, there's no football. Callum says, hi, Rob, sick of us selling our best players. Aubameyang cannot go at any cost. There is no replacement in Europe affordable enough in this current situation to score the goals like Aubameyang does. Agreed, 100%. What replacements come to mind when replacing Ozil? Well, there's this guy I've mentioned already, Erkan Kokku, there's Aouar, there's Nabil Fekir. There's several players that you could try and bring in, you know what I mean, to try and replace him. It's tough to replace him because he's a brilliant player. But then, be real, what's he done recently? He hasn't done nothing. He scored 1 goal this season. That's not good enough for a guy of Mesut Ozil's quality. Nick says, Robbie, is that the real Saka that keeps asking you to rate him? I don't think so. Soham says, sell Xhaka, buy Dennis Zakaria and Jonathan David, sell Hector for around 30 million, sign Cedric for free, sell Holding and Socrates, buy Gabriel, it's making of a better defense and midfield, and keep Aubameyang. So there's some solutions there. Lord's Official says, even if we keep Aubameyang, will he be consistent in the next coming seasons? Look at what happened to Ozil, and we're complaining for him to leave. Well, listen, all we can judge it off of is look at Aubameyang since he joined Arsenal. He joined that January, scored loads of goals. Last season, Golden Boot winner. This season, second top goal scorer in the league. He's been consistently good every season he's been here. So there's no reason to feel that he wouldn't continue on that consistency. You take a chance, obviously. You do take a chance, but he's worth taking a chance on, I think, with that goal-scoring record. And then if you even look back at his goal-scoring record in Germany, it's been impeccable all the way throughout his career. Casper says, Robbie, hey, from Norway, I think Aubameyang and Laka should stay since their relationship is so good. It will help morale and boost confidence. That's a good shout. That's a good shout. You know, very true. You know, you got to think about that as well. You know, the two guys get on very, very well, and morale is going to be very important in the coming season and the coming months. Nee says, Robbie, if you were in charge of Arsenal's transfers, how will you proceed? Who will you buy or sell? Well, if I was in charge and the situation was as it is, realistically, you know, so I'm not going to say, oh, I'd splash this and I'd splash that. You'd have to offload players to sell. And I've just given you some of the players that I'd get rid of. And then I'll be looking to just bring in a couple of players. I'll go with quite a small squad for Arsenal for next season until more players are off the wage bill and more, hopefully we can make an assault on the Champions League. But I'll be looking to keep Aubameyang, because to me, the key is to get into the Champions League. And to get into the Champions League, you're going to have your best players, right? So I'll be looking to keep Aubameyang. I'll be looking to keep Lacazette. I'll be looking to move on those defenders that I told you about earlier. I would definitely be looking to move those on, get in some cash, strengthen a couple of areas in the defense. Sorry, move on those defenders, I should have said. Strengthen the areas in defense and just like have a good season. We're not going to be able to spend a lot of money this summer. And one very talented midfielder, you know. And we might have to switch the system up a bit as well to get the best out of what we've got. Right, I'm going to do a couple of more here. Let's see. It's another one like that. Robbie, if you were Arsenal manager and you had 40 million to spend, you gain an extra 35 million through selling Socrates, Mustafi, Kolasinac, Mickey. Who would you buy with a total of 75 million? Wow, that seems like a dream right now. 75 million. I think this Aouar guy is very interesting. I like the look of him in the midfield, and Partey, those two. Although really I should be maybe thinking about a defender as well, but I'll be relying heavily on Saliba coming in and doing well. Let's get one more finally. Searching. Hong Queen says, keep Aubameyang, sell Lacazette, and get Edouard and offer more to Aubameyang. So get rid of Lacazette for Edouard. Why? No, Edouard is not as good as Lacazette. What are we getting rid of Lacazette for Edouard for? No chance. Listen, thanks very much for watching the show this morning. There was great response from you guys as well. So many people watching live. It's absolutely incredible. We're going to be back tonight. We've got guests on tonight, so make sure you check us out tonight here at 8 o'clock. So make sure you check it out. Make sure you check out all of the excellent content from the weekend, All Guns Blazing podcast, Bias Premier League show, the car challenge between me and DT, which is really, really funny. Make sure you check out all of those videos as well, and we'll be back tonight.